What's up, everybody? We are at episode number 2 of the Mad Fantasy Football Podcast. Number 2. That's a lot of content. We're showing consistency, an episode a week for 2 weeks. We are halfway to forming a habit. What is it, 30 days to form a habit?
Something like that.
Yeah. Nobody fact check me on that. We got the usual suspects here. Goni still in the kitchen.
Yes,
Begley
sir.
blurring out his basement to pretend like he's not there anymore, but we all know. Boys, first off, let me preface this thing by saying we are doing my favorite, what I think my favorite series is, and that's just ranking individual positions for PPR. And today we're doing quarterbacks, 4-point touchdowns. We're doing these in May. So there's going to be some shakeups. So just keep that in mind. If something happens in June, like just last week, I planted the flag on Chris Olave as being a stud, and then the Saints go out and get Jarvis Landry. That stuff is going to happen. So just keep in mind, if stuff happens, there's still some free agents out there. And these quarterbacks could get some weapons, and they could get a little bit more spicier. Know what I'm saying?
Way early.
All right, so consensus, boys. We all got Josh Allen at 1, and we all got Justin Herbert at 2. Beggs, why do we have Josh Allen at 1?
I mean, we have Josh Allen at 1 because he's the best passer, best running back on his team, man. Just shy of 800 yards for the year last year. I mean, the man does it all. He leads the league in red zone passing attempts. When he's in the red zone, he's either running in or he's throwing it in. What changed in Buffalo, man? I mean, it's everything. All the pieces are still there. Got an AFC heavyweight here. I'm all in on Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Signed Vaughn to $1 trillion, 57 years, I believe.
Yeah. That's a little too
lifetime
long,
contract.
too much for him.
Give or take.
He won't make it to the end of that deal.
No, I'm sure there'll be some cap space restructuring for that. Going, why do we got Justin Herbert at 2?
Oh, because he's an absolute stud. These two are the only easy ones to place in order, as I was doing. 5,000 yards passing for the man, 38 touchdowns. The fourth best offense in the league, third most pass attempts, best red zone efficiency. They just re-signed Mike Williams for 3 years, 60 mil, 40 guaranteed. They're stocked up. They're ready to go.
Bag.
And they go for it on fourth down all the time. Who doesn't love that in fantasy football?
I love it. So it only took 3 quarterbacks for us to split opinions here, and I'm looking at D. Swan up there, who's just disrespecting Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, and we're gonna put him on trial for it. Explain yourself.
I spat right in his face. I've got him at 6, man. I've got him taking a little bit of a hit here. I don't think we can underestimate the impact of losing Tyreek Hill here, boys. I mean, he takes the top off the defense. He allows Travis Kelce to work underneath. We've all seen the SportsCenter highlight reels, the crossbody throws, scrambling out of the pocket. Who's he going to throw the ball to? Do you guys trust Mecole Hardman, Valdez-Scantling to make that happen? I mean, Aaron Rodgers slashed Valdez-Scantling's tires no less than 5 times in Green Bay. I just see the offense being a little bit different. I see them relying on the run game a little more. I think their defense got a lot worse in the offseason. Tyrann Mathieu was the soul of that defense, gone. I think Chiefs managed the clock a little bit here, boys. I think they tried to mitigate some of the damage in the division they're in. I don't know if they can score with the Chargers. I'm going to come out and say it.
I just feel like Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He can throw it in the most awkward positions. He doesn't even have to be looking. And I feel like I could line up and run a route and close my eyes, and Patrick Mahomes will just beam that ball right into my arms. I feel like Mecole Hardman and MBS and Juju and Travis Kelce, they're by no means schlubs. And then you put somebody like Pat Mahomes tossing the ball, he's gonna get him the rock and he's gonna get points. I mean, I agree. It happened very quickly. They went from the easy top dog in their division to we don't know. They could finish last in that division. I mean, it's crazy. So
Low.
I just Pat Mahomes, man.
Plus, I'm taking your point about the defense getting worse. Personally, for me, I love when my quarterback's defense is not very good, man. It just means to me they're going to have to throw the ball more, especially when they're in a division loaded with quarterback talent with Herbert, Wilson, and Carr. There's going to be plenty of shootouts to come. You want guys to put up points against, whoever's quarterback team you have. They brought in, Juju and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but a little stat about Tyreek and how Mahomes does without him. He's got a 103 rating, 1,700 plus yards, 8 touchdowns, and 1 pick over 5 games. So I don't think he's going to be hurting too much. And you've got the mastermind, Andy Reid, running the show there. So I think he just keeps on moving and we'll be good.
You're probably right. But look, the Chiefs showed their hand. They drafted Sky Moore this year. I mean, does that indicate they're happy with their weapons? I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster is not a bad signing. Totally different player than Tyreek. Plays within the sticks, more like Travis Kelce. I mean, we'll see. Tyreek was such a weapon. Defenses had a game plan for him week in, week out.
I agree. It could. Time will tell. I mean, I guess 6 isn't disrespectful. But, I mean, I look forward to seeing who you put in front of them. Segue to who you put in front of them, the GOAT, Tom Brady, which I actually have ranked further down than you all. Wow. You got him at 5. Goni, you got him at 4.
Yeah.
I really don't have a lot of explaining to do for Tom Brady. I mean, I'm not going to make the father time argument that – time doesn't affect him. He's the Keanu Reeves of the NFL. He's the he doesn't age. He's going out on his own terms. He's going out on top of his game. The only reason I'm reeling back on him is, again, this is happening in May, and as of this recording, Gronk is not back. That is a serious weapon, not only in the second level elite pass catcher, but he is an elite pass blocker as well. That's huge. His weapons, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage. And Russell Gage is a 3, so we'll just focus on Mike Evans and Chris Godwin here. When was the last time they played a full season? And we saw whenever AB, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans all went down at the same time, Tom Brady struggled. And I feel like it's just going to happen again. I mean, it's happened every single year for them, and it's going to happen again. And we have to make these rankings under the impression that Gronk isn't on the roster because he currently isn't. So I feel like he's going to drop a little bit. And it's TB12. I mean, if you could tell me that Mike Evans, Chris Godwin are going to be healthy all year, I'd put him at 3 without even thinking about it. But they've never had a fully healthy year, and I don't think they will again. You can only depend on Scotty Miller so much. I mean, that's my opinion on it.
Goni, what do you think?
I think you won't have to depend on Scotty Miller this year. Brady threw for 5,300 plus yards last year, 43 touchdowns. That was good for the most in the league in passing yards and touchdowns. They throw it more than anyone else down in Tampa Bay. They had the 3rd best red zone percentage. They bring in Russell Gage. You can't really necessarily say he's a replacement for AB as far as talent goes, but I think he's still a pretty good wide receiver. I think he's going to be just fine. Brady really just needs bodies on the field. I think it's an easy lockup for another 5,000 yards and 40-plus touchdowns. But another thing for Brady, he signed this broadcast deal. He's probably on his way out pretty soon, and he's greedy, man. He wants all the rings. He wants all the records. He needs 5,480 yards this year to make 90,000 yards for his career, making it untouchable. He just wants to put the records in the rings at an untouchable level that'll never be gotten to again. And what's funny about that is that 5,480 that he would need breaks Peyton Manning's single season record of 5,477. So he's chips all in. He's going for it, and I think he'll get it.
Yeah, man. Goats eat everything, buddy. I mean, fun fact, Chris Godwin has more fantasy points per game with Tom Brady than Mike Evans does. You can't, Godwin for a full year makes Brady an absolute lethal weapon. Yeah. And is Todd Bowles coming in and telling Brady to throw the ball less? No way.
You never tell the goat of tossing pigskins to toss the pigskin a skosh less. You just
You
hey,
don't
I
do
hope
it.
y'all are right. I mean, I would love to see another ring on his finger personally, as long as that Buccaneers logo is on it. Now that Dolphin scare is over. Anyways, moving on. The consensus number 5, Jalen Hurts. My ranking popped him up a little bit more. I had him at 4, Begley at 7, Goney at 6. I feel like he's just going to be running more. He rushed for almost 800 yards, not quite, last year, and I feel like he's going to do that again. He's got the number 1 offensive line. He's got a weapon, finally, on offense in A.J. Brown. I mean,
I'm
so
Ron Burgundy.
you gotta. I mean, you gotta respect that a little bit. I mean, obviously defenses don't respect Jalen Hurts' arms, and I don't blame them. But I mean, he is an NFL quarterback. He's got a little bit of talent to him on tossing the rock, and I just feel like adding A.J. Brown can keep him a little bit honest. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts, you can't trust his arm, but you can trust his legs, and he's going to use them. I feel like he can rush for what he did last year again, and he finished a top 10 quarterback last year. I feel like with adding A.J. Brown, he can get a few more points through the air because that offense was terrible. I feel like drives are extended a little bit more with A.J. Brown on the roster. And again, it's a number 1 O-line. That's nothing to be sniffed at when you're a scrambling, rushing quarterback.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I had him ranked as the number 6 guy for me. He got to the QB9 last year off the back of 3,100 yards passing, 16 touchdowns and 9 picks. I don't know many guys that can throw 16 touchdowns and break the top 10. He did run for just under 800 yards. I think the touchdowns come down a little bit from 10, maybe to about 6 or so. I think the rushing stays. But if you bring the 16 touchdowns up to 25, which is very doable, they traded for A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith is in his second year. And Jalen Hurts is going into his second full season as a quarterback after playing only 4 games his rookie year. I really do think that he can rise up in the rankings and have a way better year than he did last year.
This is. I have him at 7. I mean, again, it's still at 7, but this is kind of a gut check for me. I mean, he led the league in rushing attempts from the quarterback position last year at 140. That has to tailor, man. I mean, it has to tailor back, and I would love to know actually what fraction of that is off broken plays. I mean, third worst completion percentage. I think he throws the ball a little more with A.J. Brown this year. You don't pay him the money, not work him in the offense. I think Devonta Smith and Goddard still get their targets. We're playing on his legs here, boys. That's just what it is.
100%.
There's also, though, just one more little thing about it. They were dead last in pass attempts last year. The Eagles' offense was. There's nowhere to go but up. And like you said, they brought in A.J. Brown, so they're going to pay him that money. They're going to use him. The pass attempts are going to go up.
They are, and I think it hurts his fantasy stock. I want him throwing the ball less and running the ball more, not the other way around.
Fair enough.
I think it extends drives a little bit more. I think his rushing can stay the same and his passing can go up. He's not exactly in a stout division, so I feel like a crap offense can still succeed where he's at, especially from a fantasy standpoint. Nobody here is arguing that Jalen Hurts is a legitimate NFL quarterback, but for fantasy purposes, he legit.
He's all right.
Number 6, consensus number 6, Mr. Shiesty himself, Joe Burrow. I've got him a lot further back than you all do. I've got him at 9, Beggs at 4, Goney at 5. I've got him at 9 for a pretty simple reason. I feel like he's coming into essentially the same situation he was at last year with a slightly improved offensive line. He's got weapons. I mean, he's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and he lost C.J. Uzoma, but we're not crying over that spilled milk. So correct me if I'm wrong here, Goni. He finished around 5 last year.
7th. Finished
Seventh.
as QB7. Yep.
QB7. And I don't know if y'all remember or not, but week 16 is when he played the Ravens and the Chiefs. I believe it was week 16 and 17, back to back.
Yep.
Right.
That man
Super
was
Bowl
not
hero.
human. He put on
Fantasy
his
football
like Mike
playoff
cleats
hero.
and went nuts. I mean, he threw for almost 1,000 yards in 2 games, 7 tutties, and that absolutely buoyed his total up to just be the number 7 quarterback. Now, the rest of the year, he was in the 20, 25 area, which is a great quarterback. I mean, it's a very dependable quarterback that you're happy with at the end of the year. I just feel like he's going to actually be that all year and not going to have those 2 40-plus point games to buoy his overall up to 6 or 7, and he's just going to stay pat at the 9, in my opinion.
Man, I'm on the. I'm going to plant my flag saying Joe Burrow was an MVP finalist this year, and I would even consider a doink bet on that. I feel that strongly about it, man.
Do I get the field?
Nah.
If you get the field, if you get the field, you always got to take the bet. So if you're taking
Doink
Joey B as
traffic.
MVP and I get the field, I'll take it.
I said finalist. I said finalist. I mean, this guy threw for 4,600 yards last year, 6th most in the league. They had 3 key free agent signings. La'el Collins from my beloved Cowboys. We won't question his character, but his pass blocking is superb. We got Alex Kaplan and Ted Karras. I mean, you're talking about 3, what would you say, Pro Bowlers there on the offensive line? Goni, you care to fact check me on that?
Oh, they're upgrades regardless of what happens. So
Yeah, I don't know Pro
Huge.
Bowlers, but definite upgrades.
He led the league in sacks last year at 51. I mean, look, there's an absolute precedent. It's hard to throw the ball when you have a defensive end ripping your face off. And it's just, you can't do it. I mean, 70% completion percentage. While he's getting his face ripped off, he is completing 70% of his passes, which led the league, gentlemen. You give this man more time, you're telling me better things can't happen. That's key. Another quick stat for you, actually. I'm a big fan of a stat called completed air yards. Strong correlation to fantasy success and predicting future success at the quarterback spot, which essentially indicates if you throw the ball downfield and it's caught, you're going to have a better fantasy year. Pretty self-explanatory. Joe Burrow came in at 8 last year at the highest sack percentage rate. You're telling me if he gets 15, 20% more time to let his routes develop downfield, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, not going to eat, Wayne?
That's a great stat. I just feel like you should have had some Coke bottle glasses on with some tape wrapped around the middle, adjusting them while you were telling me that. But that's a great point.
I was furiously punching my calculator the whole time I was talking over here. But
I'm sure it was a calculator watch at that, too.
I'm going to say one negative to Joe Burrow was only 54 red zone attempts last year through the air. Definitely capped his fantasy success. But I think that improves as he matures in the league. Same with Chase and T. Higgins. So I'm all aboard the Joe train.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to add to you on that. You had him at 4. I had him at 5. Those red zone attempts were good for 20th in the league, and they had the 17th best red zone percentage. This is, Joe Burrow's first year after a catastrophic knee injury, still running for his life, chucking it, doing everything he can. They make it to the Super Bowl. Going back to 1970, there's only been 55 times where a quarterback was sacked 50-plus times in a year and made the playoffs. Out of those 15 that made the playoffs, only 11 advanced one round into the playoffs. Out of those 11, only 4 made the conference game. And last year's Bengals were the only team to make it to the Super Bowl with the quarterback that had been sacked more than 50 times in a year. This guy is good. He's going to be protected. He's got weapons for the future. He's phenomenal. He can easily break 5,000 yards and I think 40 touchdowns as well, which I think will shoot him up into the top 5 range, and that's why I've got him there.
Goni, let me ask you, is he the quarterback with the highest ceiling this year?
Highest ceiling? No. For me, I would say the quarterback with the highest ceiling really would be Jalen Hurts, to be honest with you, just because of the rushing ability. If Jalen Hurts explodes and goes for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns and puts up, I don't know, 800 more yards on the ground, he's a QB1 easy.
If we're
I don't
talking
know
about
if that's going to happen.
If we're talking about 6 points per touchdown, Joe Burrow's ceiling soars.
Absolutely.
But we're not. We're a typical 4 point per tutty. And you're looking for the rushing tutties. You're looking for the rushing yards. That's what's going to buoy. That's why Josh Allen was our consensus number one, because that man does it with his legs and his arm. I mean, for me, rushing in a 4 point touchdown format is king. Segue to our consensus number 7 that Goney disrespected. Lamar Jackson, you got him outside the top 10. Me and Begley both have him in our top 5. You have him outside the top 10. I want to hear why.
Yeah, highly unpopular opinion. I know people love to throw him in the top 5. He's a phenomenal athlete, great with the legs. Can't ever take anything away from him like that. It's just, man, he doesn't have anyone to throw to. They traded away Hollywood Brown. Rashad Bateman's their number 1 this year. They've got other pieces like Devin Duvernay and James Proche. Is anyone going to have them in fantasy leagues? Probably not, unless that's your last pick of the draft. He finished as the QB 15 last year. He threw for 2,800 yards, 16 touchdowns, had 13 picks. He had 767 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. I think the touchdowns comes back up. But I mean, he just has no one to throw to. And really, I think the Ravens traded away Hollywood because I don't think they want to supply him with weapons this year in a low-key effort to minimize his upcoming contract, man. How successful can the man be is all I'm trying to say.
Conspiracy.
Oh, yeah. It's a take, Art.
Goney, let me give you a counterpoint.
Send it.
If the Ravens don't want to pay this man, a league MVP, by the way, why would they not run the ball until his legs fall off of his body?
They're going to have to this year.
Well, does that not correlate to fantasy success?
That man is going to run so much, he gets hurt this year. He's going to miss games.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay. All right. So it's an injury play for you here at 11.
Yeah, that as well as I mean, dude, Mark Andrews can only do so much. Rashad Bateman, I liked him last year as a rookie wide receiver. I thought he put up a few good games, but it's a big ask to have a sophomore receiver go for 1,000 or 1,100 yards and X number of touchdowns. Really, they're playing to win, obviously. So I think they just run the ball, burn the clock, and use solid defense to navigate their way through this season.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I like Lamar this year for the plain and simple fact that he doesn't have weapons. The only weapons he has are what he walks on every day, and he's going to use them. And that I'm talking from a receiver perspective. I mean, obviously Mark Andrews is a huge red zone threat, but the Ravens used 12 different offensive linemen last year, and it was terrible. Lamar Jackson was sacked 38 times, and that offensive line gave up a total of 57 sacks. They're finally healthy again, and they're investing in their offensive line using a first-round pick for a center. So the fact that it's healthy and they're investing in making it better means that Lamar can do more rushing because, again, that's all he's got. I think he's just, and we just talked about it, rushing is king when it comes to quarterbacks' fantasy value. I feel like that's his only option. He's just going to rush the piss out of it. The offensive line is healthy. They invested in the offensive line in the draft, high draft capital, that from a rushing perspective, they only get better. So that's why I have him at 5. Begley has him at 3. Which is a little too high for my blood. But I think anybody that's going to run the ball as much as he's going to be forced to run the ball is a top 5 lock, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I'm going to steal a lot of Goney's thunder here. I applied the same logic that he did to Jalen Hurts to Lamar Jackson. I think he was right. The Ravens did show their hand, and I think it leads to a lot of rushing attempts, a lot of rushing yards, a lot of rushing touchdowns for Lamar this year. Run the ball, play good D. They signed Mike Davis free agency. They did not go get a wide receiver, either in the draft or free agency. Hey man, I traded for
Mike
Mike
Davis.
Davis. I love Mike Davis.
Why?
He's the best receiving back in Baltimore. You heard it here first. For whatever that matters, they don't check it down a lot, but he's the best receiving back they
Lamar
got.
doesn't love to throw to the running backs.
No. I mean, he's an unrestricted free agent, man. He's going to run the ball. They have nothing to lose.
My thing for that, though, man, is Lamar historically, I mean, this is his 5th year in the league. He historically has struggled to throw for over 3,000 yards. He's only done it once. It was his MVP season where he threw for 3,100 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 6 picks. You can't tell me there's a world where that man approaches 30 touchdowns this year. Is there? You can't. There's no way. Come on.
No.
That would make Devin Duvernay and James Proche fantasy relevant, and I know neither of you gentlemen will be rushing to the waivers and spending any fab on either of those guys.
Hey, it really just depends how high you are on Mark Andrews. How many touchdowns does he get this year?
I mean, even in best case scenario, what? 13 is like a phenomenal year for a tight end? 13, 14? Where do you spread out the other ones?
Goney Luke, man. I mean, Greg Roman's been the OC there. I think actually since Lamar was drafted, if not very shortly thereafter. He finds creative ways to get the ball in his hands, man. I mean, it's not like they've had a plethora of receiver talent the last half a decade.
That's fair.
But they are a very serviceable offense. I mean, look, he's going to have opportunities, man. As long as he stays healthy and he avoids contact, man, he's probably the best. Definitely the best quarterback. I put him top 5 running backs at avoiding the big hits, man. He's slippery.
Hard to tackle.
Yeah, he's shown.
Yes.
Number 8, we got Kyler Murray. Goni and I are pretty close. I have him at 6. If you're seeing a trend with me, I love rushing quarterbacks. Goni has him at 8, and Begley, number 12 for the man.
Yeah. What's going on in Arizona, man? You got the suspension from Hopkins. Murray is unhappy in Arizona. They've actually put the extensions on hold. He's got 2 more years left on his rookie deal. I don't love quarterbacks who don't want to play for the team that they're stuck with. He had an ankle injury last year, causing him to miss some games. He's little. I don't love what they've done offensively in terms of free agent signings. The Hollywood Browns seemed a little redundant to me with Rondale Moore. I think they play a very similar position. Hollywood's probably more on the outside than Rondale is, but they don't throw the ball downfield, man. This is a short passing offense. He's one of the worst in the league, actually, at completed air yards, down at 13. I just don't see a lot of opportunity here, man. Does this offense get any better than what it was last year? I don't see it.
Is that considered worst in the league, that you're in the top half?
One of the worst in the league. Well, relatively speaking, because
not the top 12.
He had Trevor Lawrence. I just don't see it. I don't see the big play potential there. Obviously, he's going to get his carries, but coming off the injury, players are usually a little bit more gun shy about taking the hits.
Yeah, but you look at Kyler before pre-D-Hop, that man, if it was in 5 yards, he was running it. And I think it's going to be that again. I don't think James Conner gets 100% of those. I think he reverts back to that, and he's only missing D-Hop, which, considering I get it, it's still a long time, but it's a third of the season. I think he's going to be fine. He's got Rondale Moore, he's got Hollywood. They're giving, he doesn't want to play for him, but they're giving him pieces to, I feel like, they're extending an olive branch with Hollywood. I feel like he's going to rush more at the goal line. I feel like he is going to throw the ball more. to his boy Hollywood.
Oh.
They're putting the weapons around him for it. And after week 6, D-Hop will be back. And, I mean, he is – and I don't want to go back on what I said. This is happening like we're speaking on what is currently happening now. D-Hop will not be playing for 6 games is the assumption we're going under, but that's only a third of the season, and I feel like the last half of it he'll be fine. We can't forget Zach Ertz is old, but he's still got hands. I feel like he's not completely weaponless, and he's still going to use his legs. That's why I have him. That's why I have him so high. He's not top 5 for me, but he's right there.
Yeah, I thought Zach Ertz actually came in and did a pretty good job when they acquired him last year. I mean, Kyler Murray, he missed 3 games last year, really most of a fourth game. He got hurt in the Green Bay game before he went out for those 3 weeks. But, I mean, he finished at the QB 10, and he had 3,700 yards and only 24 touchdowns. I feel like that can easily be improved upon. They have Hollywood to replace D-Hop in the meantime, and then they'll be back at their full complement of weapons. They lost Christian Kirk to the Jaguars, but begs to kind of go on the opposite end of the spectrum of what you were saying. He's playing for a contract extension. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he wants to prove it to the organization that he deserves this money that he's hoping to be paid. He wants Deshaun Watson money plus, and I think he's on a vendetta to get it. So I think he comes out and does pretty well this year.
He's got 2 years left on his deal. What else does he have to do to the organization to prove his value?
I mean, it's just they're talking about dollars here, man, dollars and cents, and the bar is set so high because of Cleveland giving all this guaranteed money. So now if you're a quarterback in the league, you're looking around at your agent and the owner of your franchise, and you're saying, hey, man, this guy didn't even play last year, and he's making $40 million a year. It's all guaranteed. I want more than that guy. So it puts in that number is $40 million. That's a lot of money. There's cap space, obviously troubles that all the teams in the league have to face. It's just a lot to have to commit to a guy, and he wants his piece of the pie. It goes Watson at 40. It goes Josh Allen at 43, Mahomes at 45, and then Aaron Rodgers at $50 million a year. So he's going to want to slot in somewhere in between that, I'd have to think.
Well, I mean, they're going to right, and to me, I think he's worth it. Personally, why drag your feet and pay him the man? Pay him what he's worth, man. Pay him what he's worth. Man.
That's why you have some of these bad franchises, man. You don't lock up a quarterback. Is so hard to find, and you need to lock him down while you got him.
They definitely haven't killed free agency by any means. The Cards have been very iffy in free agency.
Been very iffy, man. I mean, this to me screams a holdout, man. I mean, it really does. It's toxic in Arizona.
Yeah. Fair enough. Number 9, which was actually 8 and 9 were a tie. The median was 8.6. Looks like we nailed it for the 8 and 9. So we'll do we want to call Matt Stafford the 9? We'll call him T-8. Matt Stafford.
That'll do.
Matt Stafford.
Has a nice ring to it.
I have him at 10. Beggs at 9. Gone has him all the way up at 7.
I do.
What you got him up there for, man?
I do. I mean, he's coming into the second year of McVay's system. They're trying to run it back off the backs of a Super Bowl. They had the 9th best offense last year. The man almost put up 5,000 yards, had 41 touchdowns. 3rd most red zone attempts with the 4th best efficiency down there. They still have Cooper Kupp, who last time I checked is really, really good. They brought in Allen Robinson to catch passes, do what he does, and this is by far the best quarterback that Allen Robinson has ever had in his career. And last I checked, also Odell Beckham is most likely to return to the Rams. That's the news around the league right now for him.
As of right now, there ain't no OBJ on the Rams. So what did he finish like with all those accolades and all those numbers you threw out? What did he finish last year?
He finished as the QB5, so I even have him coming down 2 spots.
I have him coming down several spots. I
Mhm.
don't think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna do very well. I don't think he's going to do as well. I mean, the season that Cooper Kupp had was absolutely phenomenal. I don't think he does that again. I think he's a top wide receiver again. That's nothing against Cooper Kupp. I just don't think he does what he did again. I feel like his division is down this year, and they're not going to throw it as much. And that's why, and it goes without saying, with this whole list, we're talking about starting quarterbacks on every fantasy team. So it's not, I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I just don't see him finishing much higher than a back towards, he's a T-8.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with him there.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to repeat what he did solely because I feel like the Rams are so good that they're going to rely more on rushing and clock management
Regression.
more.
Yeah. I totally agree, Wayne. Clear regression candidate with Akers healthy. I think they run the ball a little more than they did last year. They don't have to rely on his arm as much. Still love Stafford, though.
Yeah.
Do you
absolutely.
think Cam Akers is a flaming turd like he was in the playoffs? Or do you think this Achilles injury is he just came back a little early and maybe he'll have more time to have healed up and we'll see a better showing out of him this year? I'm not sold on Cam Akers.
No running back has ever had an Achilles injury and posted a 1,000-yard season after.
Yeah, it
Never
doesn't
happened.
happen. Doesn't happen.
It's the worst injury you can have as running back.
It's scary. It's almost a blessing now that if something happens with your leg, you hope it's an ACL.
Right?
For
Crazy.
some reason, his Achilles tear affected his ability to hold on to the ball. I don't know. His Achilles is like attached to his hands somehow. Somebody messed that up.
Hey, man, crutches are shaped differently than football, so he was holding those for a long while.
Yeah.
he's got absolutely chafed pits. Number 10, Russell Wilson. I have a confession to make to everybody listening. Goni said that when we discussed what we were going to do, the content, all this, we kind of laid out our episodes and all that. Again, loads of content coming. Make sure to follow. Goni just right off the bat, we were kind of talking about quarterbacks, and he was like, Russell Wilson, 12. He's and me and Goni absolutely flamed this man. Russell Wilson, not your top 10. And we were ready to drive to his house and just absolutely just put him in headlocks and jump him over it.
Yeah.
I got roasted, Mad Mob. Got roasted for it.
He got roasted, and the rankings came out, boys. We did our research. I've got Russell Wilson at 11. Begley's got him at 10. And Goni's got him at 9. So Goni's got him higher than all of us. So I say that to issue a public apology to Goni.
Man, never been done before.
It'll never happen again.
I gotta apologize.
Never will happen again. Like I said, man, after Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, just every quarterback on here, I had second thoughts about where they were, tweaked it a lot, moved guys around, had the little variables. And for Russell Wilson, I mean, the range that I thought him in, I just kind of eyeballed it when I was talking about it earlier. But as I looked into it more, he was the QB 16 last year, threw for over 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns. He's going to a Broncos team that is 24th in pass attempts, and they were 14th in rushing attempts. They're more of a run-first team. He gets Jerry Jeudy, he gets Cortland Sutton, he gets Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler. And, I mean, he's going to play in a loaded division. We said this about Herbert and Mahomes. There's going to be shootouts coming. It's going to be exciting football. It's going to be great to watch. And easy top 10 quarterback for sure.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I just and you can definitely tell by my rankings that I'm very rush heavy. But as far as just pure passers go, he's one of my top ones. And like I said, this whole ranking would look a little bit different with the 6-point touchdown points. Yeah. But I just
the Broncos proposed last night, and Nathaniel.
Splice.
Good eye, Mike.
What are you? This man's out here like
Sorry,
eating
dude.
at Outback Steakhouse, getting a DoorDash order or something.
I
I'm
know,
not splicing
right?
that out. That's staying. Are you good, man? Do we have your attention, Begley? Can the Mad Mob
I'm
have some
focused.
attention?
I'm focused.
Yeah,
It was
is
an
that good?
ad,
Can we-
man. It was an ad.
Can we rank our guys here?
Listen, watch more videos and I can buy ad-free content on the internet. Okay.
My-
Until then, we're gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's true. Basements and ads. That's what you get from Begley up there. So Russell Wilson, we got him at 10. I agree with everything you said. I mean, they rush the ball a lot. I feel like Russell Wilson, he's playing behind the best offensive line he's ever played behind, and that's not saying much because the Broncos are very middle of the pack. But when you go from back of the pack to middle of the pack, he's probably going to feel like he can just eat a 5-course meal in the pocket. So I feel like he's going to be very successful when he passes it. And that's why he pushes up a little bit. But he wasn't the same after his finger issue last year, so I don't think he's going to be back to his old self. But I feel like he's going to be very successful in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a similar offense to Seattle. I think we know what to expect out of him. He's a guy in redraft leagues. If I can steal him very late, that's going to be the quarterback I'm targeting.
Yeah. So at the 11, we've got Aaron Rodgers. We've all got pretty similar spots here, and I'm just going to give the most basic, uninformative reason as to why I have him there, and it's simply because he is discount double check Rodgers. He's got no weapons. His offensive line is mediocre at best. The team sucks as a whole. The Green Bay Packers don't even have a team owner. I mean,
It's everyone. Everyone's the owner.
There's no reason that the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers should be on this list other than the fact that it's Aaron Rodgers. And that's all I got for it. I mean, you got to trust Aaron Rodgers. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a stud. He's going to find people. He loves his boy Randall Cobb, who I get it is old, slow, but it's his boy. And he's accurate. I mean, he's going to put the ball in his receivers' hands regardless of who his receivers are. So I trust in Aaron Rodgers to do what Aaron Rodgers does.
Yeah, who does he throw the ball to here, man? I mean, obviously it's Rodgers. I guess more so who catches the ball that has been thrown to him. I mean, obviously we know A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones are going to eat. But I expect this to be more of a run-first offense, play-action game. Don't see it here going. Yeah, I just don't see top 10 production here going, do you?
I had him ranked at 10. It was the highest out of all of us. He was the QB 6 last year, so we obviously all have him taking a little step back. He did lose his major weapon in Devontae Adams in the offseason, but I mean, hey, Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, drafted Christian Watson. Doesn't that scream some happiness right there? I mean, he like Wayne said, he's still Aaron Rodgers. He's a Hall of Famer. It's hard for me to ever bet against Aaron Rodgers. And usually if I'm in season and I'm betting on a game against the Green Bay Packers, I usually end up disappointed. I think he still does what he does. He's going to be fine. They're about middle of the pack in pass attempts. I really don't think that they run the ball more. And I think that the lack of wide receiver weapons will actually send Aaron Jones on his career high for receptions this year. That's just what I think. I think he'll have about 55, maybe 60 receptions out of the backfield this year. I don't think that's too outlandish. It's just Aaron Rodgers trusts him, and I think that's what we see.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae's leaving a lot of targets behind. And there's never been a rookie wide receiver under Aaron Rodgers who's caught more than 38 balls in a year, and only 5 have caught over 12. Watson's not the answer. Amari Rodgers was hardly on the roster last year. I agree with you.
Yeah, that's a good point about Aaron Jones. I feel like it's hard to earn Aaron Rodgers' trust, and Jones has it. So I feel like he won't have a choice other than to slot into a receiver for him. So our last spot, 12, we've got Dak Prescott, who I have ranked the highest by a long shot. Beggs has him at 13. Anti-homer pick. I like it. Gone at 12. I have him in the top 10 at 8. Listen, boys. He played a little bit better last year. He was a top 10 quarterback last year. Goni?
Quarterback 8.
QB 8. And it was the first year that he had a mostly healthy offensive line, aside from Tyron Smith, who is a huge piece to miss. Now he's healthy. They lost Collins, but they got Terrence Steele, who is a great fill-in for that. So their offensive line is getting better. So I think Dak Prescott stays on par with what he did last year. And it's as simple as that. I don't think he does any better, and I don't think he does any worse. I think he's a fringe top 10 quarterback for you again this year.
Goni, I'm going to take this one.
Yes, sir.
As the resident America's team fan here, man.
I hate it when you say that.
Well, it's
not
true.
my team.
It's
not
true.
My team.
Well, you guys are the outliers. America's team. Anyway, so look, man, Dak Prescott, 68.8% completion percentage last year. 3rd in the league. He's accurate. I don't know who gets open for him this year. CeeDee Lamb's getting cornerback 1. Mari always took the best corner last year. He usually got shut down. CeeDee Lamb now gets that. I don't know that I trust Kellen Moore to be creative enough to move him around. I'm sure he'll play in the slot a little. I think that's his natural position, but he's going to have to play outside. I'm a little worried about the offensive line. Tyron Smith's back, but, I mean, his back is an absolute shambles. It's held together by Elmer's and paper mache, man. I mean, this guy can't make it through a full year. To me, the Cowboys are pivoting to a team built around its defense, Micah Parsons. You can tell by the way we drafted and our lack of free agent signings, we're not investing in the offense. I'm a little concerned as a Cowboys fan. I just don't see that getting there. I don't see this being a high-powered offense this year.
That's fair.
I don't see Tyron Smith getting hurt again just because I think he holds the record for most braces on a human body, but he'll manage it, I'm sure. Going.
I mean, you can never really predict injury. You can do all your research in fantasy football and make all the great picks, but injuries are just one of those things that kind of pop up. For Dak, I mean, I see him as a top 12 quarterback. Have him sliding back from the QB8 last year. I think he's still really good. They had the best offense last year. They had the 6th most pass attempts last year. They were efficient in the red zone. They were top 5 there. They had the weakest strength of schedule in the league. America's team, man, the weakest. And, I mean, just some cons, though, on that side of it. You traded away Amari Cooper, like you said. CeeDee Lamb we're going to find out right now, is this going to be the breakout year for CeeDee Lamb? Is he going to become what he's supposed to become, what they drafted him to be? They drafted Jalen Tolbert. So, I mean, you have a rookie. He's probably going to fill in the meantime while Gallup's gone, right? Is that what you think, Biggs?
He's going to have to. We don't have anybody else, man.
So he's going to be thrust right into the spotlight. That might hurt Dak a little bit. And really, I think they might look to lean on the run a little more in 2022. They ranked 12th in the league last year in rush attempts. And I think getting a healthy Zeke back, getting Pollard back, I just think that they look to burn some clock a little more, use rushing attempts in the run game to kind of make it easier for Dak. I have him sliding down from last year, but I still think he's a top 12.
Yeah, I mean, Zeke, highest paid running back in the NFL. You got to use him, right?
Gotta
use him, man. Oh, God, gross.
Really, and I mean, the Cowboys did draft in the first round another offensive lineman. So I mean, you don't draft an offensive lineman and don't plan on running the ball.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's just a horrible salary cap spot in Dallas right now. It's gross. This is a 500 team, boys.
Shout out Jerry Jones. So that rounds out our top 12. Now we all got a little dark horse action, and I'm gonna give the floor to them now. So we're hitting about the 50-minute mark. We plan on taking some some questions from you all. So make sure we'd like to fill in the last part of our episodes, answering your all's questions, giving you some advice on fantasy trades. So make sure you can either email us again at madffpodcast@gmail.com. You can DM us on Twitter at madffpodcast. And we will hopefully get to, at least pick the most popular ones if we have too many, and hopefully help you out with any trades or waiver wire pickups or anything like that. And we're here pre-draft. You got us pre-draft for, hopefully you're not in one of those weird leagues where you draft before the preseason or in the middle of it, because that's just, you need to send your commissioner our way if that's happening.
Find
it could be fun for a dynasty. I could see it for a dynasty possibly, but
maybe for rookies. If it's a dynasty rookie draft, that's fair.
Yeah, redraft. No,
Goni can never let me have anything. Mute your mic, man. All right, so we're gonna round this out because we don't have any questions or anything yet. We are YouTube. I forgot about YouTube. We are on YouTube as well. Mad Fantasy Football Podcast on YouTube. And we're going to be posting the videos, so feel free to comment down there for questions as well. So instead of rounding it out with questions, because we have none today, let me hear your all's dark horses. Let me hear guys that people can sneak late and possibly find a nice shiny diamond in the rough.
Goni, go ahead, man.
Well, for me, I'm going to go ahead and take Trey Lance. The man, he's going to start this year, I think, regardless if Jimmy's there. It's you have to. They gave up a ton of draft capital to get him. You can't let him ride the bench for 2 years. You just absolutely can't. He's a great athlete. He's capable of putting up great numbers with his legs. Shanahan's a great coach. He'll make things work out. Debo's waiting on a lucrative extension still, but I think that they're going to get a deal done. I think Debo is there this season in uniform, will be playing for him. Their run game is always good. I think that helps out the pass, and I think you see a lot of option out of him as well. So I think as he gets it figured out, it'll probably be a little rocky for him, but I think that he has the ceiling to jump into the top 12. I'm not necessarily sure he will, but I think the ceiling is there, and that's my late round guy.
It's fair. It's fair. These are dark horses.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to take two. I'm going to take a guy that I think can get top 7. That's Derek Carr. I do, man. Top 5 in completed air yards. He throws the ball downfield. Raiders led the league in field goals made and field goals attempted last year. I think Davante Adams is exactly what they need to move the chains, especially on third down the other side of the field. Derek Carr was pretty poor in red zone passing attempts. Again, you get a major red zone target in Davante Adams. I think he's the medicine the Raiders needed.
They've got an abysmal offensive line, though, and still do.
Abysmal, but you know what? Josh Jacobs can help pass block.
Fair enough.
Beggs, I have a question for you on that.
Yeah.
Just one little extra piece there. How you feel about Derek Carr only throwing 30-plus touchdowns once in his career? Think he breaks that this year?
Has he? I don't think he's had anybody in Devonta's stratosphere, man. He doesn't have the red zone target that he has. I
mean, Davante Adams, you're talking about top, 3 receiver in the league? Yeah, no.
Easily.
Very few guys have had that.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I mean, Derek Carr is one of the most accurate passers in the NFL. If you look at completion percentage, I think him and Devontae get it done, man. They're bros.
I can
you
see
pass
the
the ball to your bros. You pass the ball to your bros.
Some might say, and I had to type it into my calculator, that only 3 guys have had top 3 wide receivers to deal with. And Derek Carr is one of them now. There's no excuses.
No excuses. No excuses. And I'm going to give you my super, super dark horse. Goni laughed at me earlier when I said this. I'm going to go with Marcus Mariota in Atlanta.
Oh, God, dude.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Hear me out, boys. Hear me out. Desmond Ritter does not see the field this year. There's Atlanta will not put a rookie on the field. You have Mariota, who is a good running quarterback. They're going to be playing from behind. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. There's no running game to speak of. There's no offensive line to speak of. Mariota, super dark horse.
So just to protect ourselves here, super dark horse.
Super dark
Don't
horse.
draft him. Snag him on the waivers and put him like on the far side of your bench where the sun doesn't shine, and then maybe in a bye week, depending on who his matchup is, he might be suitable for that week.
Super dark horse.
if you happen to just completely forget to draft a quarterback altogether, he sounds like the man to have on your team.
That's exactly right.
But wait, boys. It's my turn. It's my turn for a dark horse. And I think this is a guy who can break into the top 10. Famous Jameis Winston. That man is a dog. He's got something to prove. He played... guys, I gotta flex up a little bit because I'm a Buccaneers fan, and Jameis didn't do much for us, but I liked him. Okay, he's always a throw it first kind of guy. Period. So he only played in 7 games last year, and he threw 14 touchdowns. That's 2 touchdowns a game. Only 3 picks, and through those 7 games, he had the best QBR in his entire career. So he's obviously improving. It's about time. I would have loved to see him do it in a Buccaneers uniform. But he's got a strong arm. He throws the piss out of the ball. He ain't scared to throw it in any situation. And he's making better decisions with his throws. Not to mention, we all know I love Chris Olave. Planted the flag on him last week. But then they went out and got Jarvis Landry. They're giving him weapons. I think he's a dark horse with a very high ceiling that you should target later in drafts. Very late in drafts, if you're the type of fella to draft 2 quarterbacks, which personally I'm not, but I think he's got every opportunity and skill set to be a starting quarterback on fantasy rosters.
So if you end up with Jameis Winston and Mariota as your 2 quarterbacks, do you feel good about it?
No. No.
I mean, you probably have some really good wide receivers and running, but like all your other positions will probably be pretty good.
Why would you ever end in that? I want to know who the douchebag is that drafted.
You said he said
Twice.
top 10.
Twice. Can't say douchebag. I want to know who the guy is that drafted 12 straight quarterbacks that forced you to draft Marcus Mariota. And that guy needs to go on somewhere.
His name is Brandon Roberts.
Shout out Brandon Roberts, who just, it's all trade bait. It's all trade bait.
Man.
That's fine. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. He did not make the playoffs that year. So if you want trade bait, try not to get quarterbacks as trade bait because that doesn't work out very well.
Brandon Roberts.
Closing thoughts, boys. That is our quarterback rankings. I'll run through them again real quick. We got Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, a Trey Lance dark horse, a Jameis Winston dark horse, and
Derek Carr, man. And Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. Derek Carr, dark horse, yeah. And that was it. That was the only dark horses that we had. We had no other dark horses.
I've got a question for you guys as the closing statements here. Which one of these guys in our consensus do you see most likely to drop out of the top 12? Who would you choose?
Kyler Murray.
Wayne? Mm.
Oh my gosh. See, my first thought is Aaron Rodgers because he has no weapons, but it's Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna say Aaron Rodgers anyways.
I think I'm going to take Jalen Hurts. I know I had him as the ceiling guy. He has
Oh, wow.
great potential, but it's at the same. It's very volatile, man. Very volatile with him.
You-
I
you-
think he can be great, or all the wheels can come off and he can drop out of the top 12 altogether.
I mean, you sold him as a mix between Michael Vick and Joe Montana. I'm shocked to hear that, man.
Hey, man, it just depends
Wow.
on if you believe in him. If you believe in him, plant the flag, draft him there. He's capable of putting up great numbers. But at the same time, man, if you haven't seen enough out of him and you don't believe in the arm, then, things happen. He can definitely drop out of the top 12.
God bless America. What a closing statement. We're gonna end this, and me and you got some conversations that we need to have. All right. I believe that does it for us, gentlemen. A loud slam of my drawer to signify the closing. My belly's grumbling. I'm hungry. It's 2:50 a.m. It's perfect time for Waffle House. Boys, anything? We good? We out of
I
here?
think we're good, man.
We didn't hear from the Roomba, man. No Roomba on the podcast.
You know what?
Yeah, no Roomba.
It started going off, and I paused it. So
That's professional, man.
we're
That's
already
professional.
getting better.
Some
We're already
pros.
getting better, Mad Mob. Remember, follow us at MadFF Podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Mad Fantasy Football Podcast, and post your questions. Try and help you out. We are on all major platforms now. By the way, we should be on your favorite platforms. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. Of course, we're on RSS.
And next episode, running backs.
Next episode, running backs. That's a spicy one. I'm excited about running backs. I don't know if we're gonna. We spend a lot of time on each player because we're only doing 12 quarterbacks. We're gonna pound through the running backs. We're gonna pound through them, and it's gonna be tough. But I think, what are we doing? Top 25?
Top 25 sounds about right.
Should we split it into two?
We could.
I'm
Discussion
just
for
sensing some
later. If you have any opinions, Mad Mob, remember consistency, weekly uploads on Sundays, Mondays, Schmondays. So you all have time. Let us know. And until next time, Mad Mob, we're out.
Later, guys.